was a time that I swore I would never go back. I was blind to the truth, didn't know what I had. I was running, I was searching, but every place I turned for healing left me more broken than the last. Take me back to the place that feels like home, to the people I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to a preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. Oh, I wanna go to church. Trying to walk on my own, but I'm wound up lost. Now I'm making my way to the foot of the cross. It's not a trophy for the winners, it's a shelter for the sinners, and it's right where I belong. Take me back to the place that feels like home, to the people I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to a preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. Oh, I wanna go to church. I wanna go to church. Oh, more than an obligation, it's our foundation, the family of God. I know it's hard, but we need each other. We're sisters and brothers. Oh, take me back to the place that feels like home, to the people I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to a preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. Oh, I wanna go to church. Yeah, I wanna go to church. Oh, I wanna go, wanna go, wanna go. Oh, I wanna go to church. Oh, I wanna go to church.
Ooh,
It's good.
I almost started talking without unmuting myself.
Hello, guys. God bless you.
Praise the Lord, everyone. I hope everyone's had a great week. It's almost Friday. It's pre-Friday, so
Yay.
one more day. Yeah, I hope you guys have had a wonderful week, a blessed week, a safe week, and you know we're glad that we're back again. And for those who are joining us and coming on, I mean we're glad that you're with us, and we hope that these things each and every Thursday is fruitful and help
Edifying.
you, benefits you in some way, because it does benefit us especially
Amen.
every week. And today we have two special guests.
We've had them before, so we're back. They're back again,
Yes.
and they're bringing us great, powerful word. And the title is "Winning the Race."
Winning your race.
Winning your race.
Yes. But before we begin, we want to ask that we start off with a prayer. That way, the Lord speaks to us and uses the message in ways that only He can do.
Amen.
So let us bow our heads. If you're in your car, please keep your eyes open and drive safely. And anywhere else, let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to come before you today. We want to ask you that, Lord, that you keep us safe, and that you allow us to spread your gospel and spread your word all over the world, and not just in person but through the internet now. We want to ask you, Lord, that you open our hearts and our minds, that we understand and that we see and that we receive the message. that will be given today. Lord, we want to ask that you continue to bless the guest speakers, and that you keep using them. And we ask you, Lord, that we just share love amongst each other, and no matter what happens, that we will always love each other and, of course, you. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, now we will be bringing on our special guests today. So, there.
Hello. We can hear them now.
Yeah, there you go.
How you guys doing?
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Praise
How's
the
it going?
Lord.
Good.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. I would hope everyone again is watching. I hope they're doing great as well.
Amen.
So, you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, we're the Reynas. We attend the Wachula Church, Fountain of Hope. We are currently both active. She's in with the office, and I am a musician. A lot of us know us around the state of Florida, and we just want to give God thanks for letting us be here with you guys again today.
Amen.
Popular demand, I guess. I don't know.
It's good to be back with you guys, and it's good to see you guys going strong with these cell groups. It's been a while since we were here the last time, and just that you guys have been able to continue this, it's just, and it's really good to see. You guys are going strong, like I said. I had worked at a school, just to tell you a little bit about myself. I work with middle and high school students, and have been a member of the Fountain of Hope in Wachula for probably about 20 years, since 2000 when I was baptized. So, yeah. So we're happy to be back with you guys, and it's I'm just happy that you invited us back, and it's good to just see these groups going. Love the work that you guys are doing.
We're happy to have you guys here again.
Thank you. How's everybody over there in your church? I mean,
our church is going pretty good. Even though the state of Florida has lifted some of the regulations, we're still complying. Just for safety. But we are about at 50% capacity, and but we're going.
That's
we
good.
have a system going forward.
Amen.
Praise God.
Praise God.
So we're going to go ahead and looking at the topic that we were bringing to you all today. Winning Your Race was the title, and we wanted to start with 2 Timothy 4:7-8, and I'm going to read that verse for you all, if that's okay to get started. It says 2 Timothy 4:7-8. It says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. Not only to me, but all those who have longed for his appearing. And the verse that we picked to start with is a very special verse with us, especially with our family. There's been a lot to this year, you all know. We've lost a lot. And at one point we used this verse as in the memorial of one of our uncles who brought us a lot of comfort. It brought us a lot of comfort knowing that even though he wasn't with us anymore, he finished the race and had the prize. Mm-hmm. So it's a very special verse to us. But today we're kind of wanting to look at it a little different in the actual race piece, not the ending, but the actual race part of how it applies to your life. So that's kind of where we wanted to put our focus on, and how it applies to us individually, all of us, as we live our day-to-day lives. Mm-hmm. And the Bible uses and we were going through, and there's quite a few verses that relate to the race, and metaphors that use the race as an example or a symbol or representation of our Christian life. And, just kind of looking at that and just trying to figure out how it applies to us, which is a little bit difficult because I don't know, I'm not a runner. I don't know what that I don't know. I have never been a runner. I probably will never be a runner. So to understand or grasp that concept is a little bit hard for me. I know, you've ever, I just, that was a little bit hard for me to kind of go in and apply it and figure out where was he coming from when they used these metaphors with that. A little bit of background: they did. Paul used the metaphors quite a bit, especially because he spent a lot of time in Greece when they were doing those Olympic Games, and there was all of those activities going on. So it was something that he could grab and put in front of them and have them understand because they were surrounded by it. And I think that even though they were surrounded, and one of the things that is questioned quite a bit is like, why would he use that, even though that during that time period the Olympic Games were full of a lot of pagan activities, they were full of a lot of things that probably shouldn't have been an example used, and now it's actually in our Bible. But he was looking at that and looking at the athletes that were running and looking at the way that they were actually training for this marathon or training for this race, and how hard they were working, and just looking at the fact that they were working so hard for a crown that was going to be a crown of leaves that nothing, that's a crown that was going to dry up and die. Mm-hmm. So he, looking at that, he was saying to the people that he was writing to, like, if they're working this hard, how much more should we be working for the crown that we're getting? So, that's kind of where, we started looking at and just kind of looking at how it applies to us in our day-to-day lives. But,
going to what she said, as Christian lives, we run lifelong marathons, whether we're running our own race or helping somebody else run their own race. Going back to what she was going to, she wasn't a runner, back in her days, and I used to run back in my youth days, and I know what it was to get prepared as being a runner, having to get mentally focused and spiritually. I mean, some people had to get that mindset, right, and so, I mean, going back to that, I mean, as Christians, we have lifelong marathons, and more than just a walk with God. We have to more or less run with God. Because we all know that He's beside us. And a lot of times, all the crazy things that are going on in the world nowadays is just like total chaos. And that's where it's very important that we have to pick up the pace to try to win our own race as Christians, and not just as Christians, but as humans. And there's a few questions that I want to ask, to add to this topic. How are you running your race? I'm asking y'all if you guys would want to, answer this question. How are you running your race?
Me? Okay. I'll go first. Me, a lot of people will see Christians and they're like, one of two things, they either have it easy or, it's pretty hard. And it's almost always the hard part is the second one. Mm-hmm. And to run the race, to do your best, to be like Christ, it's super hard, Like you said, I liked what you said. You said God's walking with us, and our race that we're running is exactly that. You're supposed to be running, not walking, because God's moving forward with or without you. If He has a calling for you, if God has a calling for you and you're not keeping up with them, God will choose somebody else and He'll put someone else to in your spot, in your race, and before you know it, by the time you realize that you're no longer walking with God per se, and now you're in the world more. By the time you realize it, it's
It's a start over. It's like
it's a start over.
whenever when you run. I remember my days when I was running like 5Ks and everything. If I didn't run one day, I could not run like a 5K the next day, because it has to be a constant thing. Like you can't just work out one day and then like 2 weeks from now you think that you're gonna be running the same time that you ran 2 weeks ago. So
Right.
to me it's like it's a constant thing. It's a marathon, so you can't really be sprinting too much or just walking. It has to be like a set pace, because if you go too fast, like he said, you can go too fast and maybe just run off the wrong way or get yourself too tired to the point that you don't want to run the race anymore. And if you go too slow, you just like, I don't want to do it no more. I get tired.
Running a race, like she said, if you run too fast, too far, you're trying to get ahead of God. Whether we want to accept it or not, that's where being a Pharisee comes into. And we have to keep a pace. Our race, my race, it's consistent. I mean, I try my best. I mean, I'm not perfect. I know I fail, but my race consists of praying every day, every morning, every night. Fasting when I can, because I like fasting, but man, I've been slacking off in that area. I'll be honest with you. And it's a major difference when you start slacking off, when you aren't running or keeping your pace.
It's like you feel it, not physically but spiritually.
Right. And so there's a couple things that we need to look at with that, and we want to obviously first encourage the people who have not even made that decision to enter the race, that at some point we would hope that decision be made, because without God we can't do anything. And so we need to enter that race. We need to be a part of it. And once you're in it, like Anna said, you can't just she was talking about how you train one day and then not the next. And you have to have it in that mindset to win. You have to, are you in the race to win? What are you, so, looking at the things that you're doing on a daily basis to win that race. So the second verse that I kind of wanted to cover with that is Hebrews 12:1. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with perseverance the race that is marked before us." So
Now here's coming from a runner, used to be a runner. You can't run a race with excess weight. As runners that actually run, they have to train, they have to exercise. Us as Christians, we have to do the same thing. We have to exercise every day. Like the brother was saying, he reads the Bible, he, fast, prays, and we have to get in that rhythm. And like Sister said, the one day that we don't do it, it's like we get thrown back, and it's just like we lose that rhythm, So, we have to physically, mentally get spiritually right and stuff like that, And what weighs us down? I mean, question to you guys: what weighs you down? If you don't mind answering, what are the things that you think spiritually or anything would weigh you down?
Well, in my case, I would say schoolwork. Like school right now is like sometimes we forget to just get up in the morning and memorize. What's the word? Be inspired, I guess you can say, by the by the wonders of God, that you woke up a new day, you're still alive, you're healthy, and then sometimes I'm just like, oh my god, I have to do homework. Oh my god, I have to get up to go shower and go to school. Oh my god, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, that in my mind sometimes gets me away from saying, wait, God gave me whatever I have right now. I have to pray for it first and then worry about the rest.
Hmm.
Me, what weighs me down? I have anxiety, so like pretty bad. I can't be in.
And that's a lot of people.
Hmm.
It really is.
And I try not to show it, but those who know me personally know, they're like, yeah, I can't. I can't be in a room full of people for a long time, and if I am, you probably won't be able to tell, but
Mhm.
that
And
does weigh me.
how many people are out there like that you don't realize the things that they're struggling with internally and that are weighing them down and like holding them back from moving forward in their race. A lot of times, for some people that's what it does.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's and think of it this way, there's people don't come out and say it sometimes, but there's like sin in their life, burdens on their life, things that they want to ask for forgiveness and they just don't know how, to come out and say it, and then that holds them down, that weighs them down.
Mm.
Um, Pain, you don't know people that are going through pain that you would think that they would be normal people. That's another way, that weighs them down, and it needs to be where people need to come out and start talking about things,
Right.
and
To let go.
to let go and say, hey, I need help, I want to get out of this so I can win this race, and they just don't know how to come out and do that. Sometimes it takes for y'all and me and us to help them out.
Hmm.
That's right.
Um, I mean, because there's nothing that weighs us down, other than those things, and God don't weigh you down. He lifts you up. When you get knocked down, who's the one that lifts you up? He does. When you're running in the race and you get knocked down, what does the coach tell you? Get up and start running. You're running those hurdles. You jump over the hurdles and you fall. You don't give up. And that's the Christian life. We can't give up. There's no room for that. In a Christian life, is giving up. Because the moment that we get baptized, that's the one thing that they always tell you. How long are you going to serve God? To the day that I die, or
Hmm.
to the day that He comes. So that's the long life race that we're running. That's the marathon that we're running, and we can never give up. We fall down. We're not perfect. There's nobody in this world that's perfect other than God. But when we
Amen.
fall, we have to get back up. And that's the training that we do every day. Whether it's fasting, praying, worshiping God. I mean, I worship God. She worships God differently. I worship God with music. Brother knows me. Um, I meditate with music. And that's how how I get one on one with Him, where I'll be by myself. And I'll be like just focus on Him on the way to work, on the way home. I'm always glad to come home from work because I come to my home to my
Yeah.
wife. And I'm like, gracias a Dios, I'm coming home, and
Yeah.
I made the day. I won this race today, because I went to work, came home safely, and I praise God on her too. When she goes to work, how it is today nowadays. The schools are, they're getting bad, and I pray that she goes to work and comes home safely, and that's her race. And sometimes, I look at her and I was like, you know, take care of her, God, because it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
And one of the things that too we want to look at and think about as we think about the things that weigh us down, because it's not always sin that weighs us down. Um, and a lot of people, um, as Christians and even outside, are always asking, well, what's wrong with doing this? Or what's wrong with listening to this? Or what's wrong with going here? Or, what's wrong with watching this? Or, those kinds of things. Um, what's wrong with participating in this? And I think that we have to kind of get out of that mindset of, what's looking at things that way, in that, as a Christian, you are not allowed to do anything, but more looking at it as, how is this going to help me in my race? How is this every day in my daily walk, the things that I'm looking at on TV, or the things that I'm listening to on the radio, or how is this going to help me in my walk with God? Is this going to help me, not in my walk, but in my race? Right.
Mm-hmm.
In my race with God. Yeah. So, we want to just try to look at it a little differently, and that, and those types of things, because, and, I know you had mentioned it, Anna, like when you get up in the morning and you have all these things going on and you get distracted, but, and those things, those aren't, that's not sin, obviously, but it's just those things that sometimes, if we continue to let it distract us, that's where, and I know for me, I'll do a confession here. Those are, most people that know me know that I'm a reader. Like I just like to read. I've always liked to read. Since I was a little girl, I liked to read. I read books like, it's no wonder that I have that area on my teaching certificate. I'm reading, the reading endorsement. But I have always been a reader. And then there are times that, even just recently, that I look at, like, oh, wait a minute, I need to take it back a little bit so that I can, because I'm focusing too much on that, and I need to focus on the Word of God, and I need to, go back into, my race. Is it starting to interfere? Is it overtaking too much of my time? Is it, and again, you need to look at some of the things differently, because sometimes it's yes, we do need to relax. We do need to enjoy life. We need to refresh ourselves. We need to, get rest. But not when it's getting distracting or when it's interfering with our way. That's where we need to kind of take a look back at it and evaluate it and see, is it.
I like what you said, Mana, about that, because sometimes you say, like you were saying, some of us ask, like, what is wrong if we do this? What is wrong if we do that? And what if's wrong, that question is like, if you're running a race and you look back, you're like, oh, what if I just stop and get something? Or what if just stop? And it's like putting a burden on you while you're running, right? So it's like each time you put something on you, you're just slowing yourself down. And it's like, if you have to ask the question, what if, or if you have to even question it, like, you should know, like, hey, this is not edifying to my soul, and this is not helping my race. The
question I get asked a lot by a few people is like, is it wrong if I do this? Is it wrong if I do that? And my answer is always the same to them. Like, if you have to think about it, it's probably not helping you.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't. So, but yeah, like, I totally agree. Not everything, like, sometimes we fall off as Christians, not just because of sin. Sometimes it's just burdens. Sometimes it's just the weight of the world. And our mind is the world. To other people it can be something small. Just get over it. But to other people it's the world. Their world's coming down. So it's like, I think it's important that we realize that just sometimes Christians fall off by their burdens, and it's important to speak to one another.
Yeah.
And
when those problems are so huge, how are you running? Like, you're just, you're trying to run a marathon, and that problem is just right there in front of you, so large, and it does make it harder.
Yeah, just like Pastor Ramon said, running the race is something we need to run together as a church, but individually following our divine call. So, like you were saying, like, we need to help out one another. Like, we need to be there for each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's some videos that I saw on YouTube. Might have been Facebook. I think it was YouTube. It says Faith in Humanity Restored, and one of the videos I saw was a race. The guy was winning, and something happened, and I think he got a cramp or something, but he was already winning, and the guy that was about to pass him just stopped, and he helped him win the race. And the interviewer was like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "You were already in first place." He's like, "What is that? What am I gonna gain from that?" He's like, but you were already in first place. Why would you do this? Like, don't you care that you just lost first place? He's like, and the guy was like, what is my mom gonna think about that? Like, that wasn't a race. That like you had to, like he helped him. He helped his somebody else's race, and I'm like that. That was I was like, wow.
Like that made him seen as a winner because like he helped somebody in need to to get that push, to get that motivation, to get to wherever he had to be too. Like whenever I was running 5Ks and everything, it was in a group of 10. So whoever was falling behind, we literally stopped. And we went behind that person, and we didn't shove them because we couldn't touch them, but we would motivate that person. That person would continue to run. Like they will stop and we will go behind them, like, come on, we can do it, keep going, like, let's go. And like at the end, like you feel that, like, hey, I helped somebody and we won the race. It's like it's a good feeling, and it's the same thing with us as Christian. Like imagine that, like you helping somebody and then you winning the race together.
Right. Think of it this way, like the brother had said, when you're running that race and all of a sudden you're way ahead of God, you know, going back to that video that you were just saying, maybe that runner was doing the same thing, all of a sudden he noticed that God was calling to him, hey, I need you to slow down, I need you to help him. That's the mentality we got to have sometimes, we're running our own race as Christians, we got to, knowing that we can't have no breaks, we got to be disciplined, and we got to stay focused, and be like, have the endurance. But on top of that, we can't get ahead of God sometimes. And as you're running, sometimes God puts something there to make you turn and say, hey, whoa, I need to slow down, because now I feel like I'm running the race by myself, so, and that's a good point, um, but going back to this, I mean, we gotta have self-discipline, we gotta stay persistent, and we gotta have that self-discipline, as a Christian, and just be focused. And
One of the another verse that we had looked at that ties into this is Galatians 5:7, and it says, "You were running the good race. Who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth?" And so it's just kind of looking at, like, you were focused, so we just want to look at how the race is unique to you. And like the Ramon said, it is unique to you. It's your own individual race. We do, as Christians, come together to motivate each other and to push each other along and to help each other. But that race is your race. It's your individual race. And what happens a lot, and like last week, the sister mentioned that you guys had on. She was talking about how God has an individual plan for you, and that's a part of all of this. So everybody has their own individual plan and purpose that God has for you, and your race is your own. So we can't look at, like, other Christians, or sometimes we get in this, like, competition of what other people are doing and how they're progressing, where they're at in their race, and and we can't look at it that way. There's if we look around in the world, there's so much work to be done. If we were all working, we still couldn't meet, do what needs to be done that God called us here to do. So we have to kind of get our eyes off of that and just focus on your own purpose in this race, your own plan that God has for you, and what work does He want you to be doing. What should you be doing, and not looking at it as a competition between others, or looking at comparing yourself to others either. So, that was another area that we kind of wanted to touch a little bit on.
Go ahead.
Our pastor, Pastor Ramon, he had commented, if we know that we need to win the race, why do we let the local environment, the local church environment, to influence our race? He says, I have known many hermanos that have left the church due to misunderstanding a chisme, or because they didn't like the pastor or the doctrine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's really sad. Like people who've been running for many years, and you know,
Yeah.
there was
like,
it's a verse where Paul talks about that, and I didn't actually write this one down, but it applies to what you just said about he himself was worried about being disqualified. So that has to be in our mindset. We have to think about that.
I
We don't
think
want to be disqualified from this race.
my opinion, I personally think when someone leaves the church because of misunderstanding, or especially like a misunderstanding or a chisme, they leave because they expected better from the people there. And being that we're a church, you think of a church, you think of people who are supposed to lift each other up, are supposed to be there for one another, are supposed to help each other's race. But in reality, church is a hospital for people who need help. That's why we come together, because the church is us.
Exactly.
We are the church.
We are the church,
We're the one running.
and we go to the temple for healing, to help one another. But really, we see that as something else. We see that as these are the people that should be helping me, when in reality we have to find out our own connection with God. Not, yeah, I mean, you have to rely on other people to help you win your race, but that one-on-one connection with God it's
individually.
It's individually. You get to heaven individually, not as a group.
That's
Right.
true.
And
I'll make a point of my own words. This is just me, I go to church for me, you know what I mean? I don't go to church for her. I go to church because God allows me to go to church, It's sad, brother, and when people do leave the church for misunderstanding, or for things that it shouldn't have never would have been, you know what I mean? And but again, I mean, this is just me. I mean, I go to church for me, for my salvation, and I have that one-on-one with God, and there could be different answers to that question, why they left or what, but that's between them and God. But it should never get that far. And you're right, us as a church, us as a human being, should be there for that individual, or for that family, or for families, for that matter. But also too, it takes for them to ask for that help, to say, hey, I'm being knocked down, I need help,
Yeah.
and that's where that one-on-one from them and God comes in. And they're never going to win the race like that, and like brother said, we run the race as a church, and that's true. We're there as a church, even though the church is here, but we win the race as a church, and we have to run together, so we have to look at one another as, you're my brother in Christ, I'm going to do what I can for you, and I'm going to help you, lift you up, and I hate to say it, but there's churches that don't do that, and that's the lack. And maybe this is why we're going through this pandemic. I don't know. Maybe this is why God said, you know what? I'm going to shake the church. I'm going to see who's still going to be in this race. I'm going to see who I can knock off course. But look,
Right.
y'all are doing it. Y'all made a way to get the word out there through Facebook and this live streaming, So that to me shows that you guys are on course. You're going through these obstacles that the enemy has put in front of us, that you're not being willing to get knocked down. So, and that inspires us,
I'll tell you what, man. If it wasn't for her, probably we'd probably be missing more Thursdays than we. So I'm like, it's hard.
It is.
Not just for us, but I'm not speaking just for us. I mean, it's hard.
especially in these conditions, how we're living. Not everybody can go to the temple to get. We can't even have altar calls because protocols and all these things. So it's like that connection we got that we had back in the day is now different, and we're just like, oh, we don't feel the same way, but it should, because you have to connect yourself to God directly.
It don't feel the same, but truth be told, God's always been there and always been the same.
Amen. Yeah, that's
Just
right.
because we don't have a building to go to doesn't mean that we can't have Him here. It doesn't mean we can't have Him here. And I've heard a lot of people leave churches because they say, well, I'm not going to go to church because I don't want to catch the corona or whatnot. I don't want to be around those people. But you can have church like we're having church now. We sometimes, we do a lot. We do a lot of praying in our room. That's our church. And sometimes it feels like we're in a big sanctuary, even though it's just the two of us in our bedroom. Just worshiping
One of
God.
the things too that we have to look at and think about is, and I hear a lot of people saying that, they just want things to get back to normal and they want to,
This is a new normal.
That's not
Yeah.
happening.
This is the new normal.
We can't expect that, and we need to understand where we're at, and we need to be able to move with it and continue on whatever plan that God has us, has for us. So, that's just, it's reality. And how can we go through the things that we've been through in the past few months and not be changed and not be different? We can't.
Yes, that's right. It's
You know,
like
it's just
saying, like telling God, like, run our race when it should be us running the race. It's like,
Yeah.
God, change this and put it back to normal, when we should be
Right.
like, okay, let me run through these obstacles and do our best.
I'm not gonna lie, but since we started this whole pandemic, um, it's brought me a lot closer to God. Because when we couldn't go to the church, it was just like, "Hey, we got to get ready. We got to get ready to get to church, and we got to be on time." And here it's just like we can have Sunday any day of the week here,
Mhm.
because
Right.
we're locked up and
There's
we
no
can
rushing
worship
to get
God.
ready. Yeah.
Exactly, and and I hate to say it like that, but it's like the new, like you said, the new normal. But going back to church, we started going back to church as well. I don't know how many members are there now, but there's quite a bit of us there, and we're being safe. But it feels good to be back in His house. But it's just like we worship Him here, we worship Him there. And this is the race, like going back to our lesson, like an athlete, you know, we got to get um, into strict training. We got to Bible study, we got to fast. We got to do what needs to be done to win this race for ourselves. And for y'all, you do what you do, she does what she does, and I do what I do to stay on course with God. Um,
The race has to be, your race with God has to be what dominates your mind, like a trainer, like an athlete when they train. They eat, sleep, breathe, training. That's all they're doing. And, in our life with God, He has to be the center of what our, what we're doing. What are we doing?
Yes.
And, so he has to be the center of all of that. And we have to, we have to be, our mind has to be dominated by those, ideas of what God has us to do. What does He want from us? What are we supposed to be doing on a day-to-day basis? It's not just Sunday.
Yeah,
when you're going to church, and it's the central focus of your life every single day.
mhm.
And there was another thing that I read that said something about a lot of people look at the race is that the day they get baptized, and they kind of think that you've won it. And that
Just beginning.
is a glorious, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a glorious day. We talk about, how the angels rejoice, and it is a big deal. But, like you said, it's just beginning. That's just the beginning of your race.
I mean,
So,
yeah, don't get us wrong. I mean, I get really happy when I see someone get baptized. Just the other day, the hermana Isabel, her father decided to get baptized, and I was like, yes, yes.
That's good.
I mean, but it's just beginning.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, it's just
yeah, I feel like when you get
Think it,
baptized, it's like you're signing up for the race.
mhm.
exactly. I was just getting ready to say that. Just think of it like you're getting ready to run that marathon, and everybody's in the
Yeah.
stands cheering you on. Hey, you're getting ready to start your race. You know, this is a new beginning for you, and you can see the stretch. You know, when you get there is when God gets here. You know, God's waiting for you down the line.
That's
So,
true.
and you got to look at it that way. You know.
And
One of the
also,
sorry,
mhm. Oh, okay. Also, I was gonna add on, like, I don't know if you, I think like the professional athletes get paid to do what they do, right? To
Yeah.
run the races or whatever. If they win, they get paid. So I think of it like, if you think of it this way, like our race is paid. Like if you think of it like, oh, if I get paid to race, I will literally go and race right now. And
mm-hmm.
it's the same thing with us in Christian life, because our prize is
It's already paid
winning.
for.
Yeah, it's like up there, like ooh,
Hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. He went to the cross and paid for it. So
Yep.
Mhm.
our race is already paid for. We just gotta win it. You know.
We gotta
Exactly.
train. We gotta stay focused. You know,
Right.
if we're laying down and a random thought comes across your mind, should I read my Bible? I'll probably read it later. No, you should probably read it now. I was like, this is the day the Lord has made. I was like, let's. You should probably read it now. But
Somebody, a buddy of mine had said, "When do you know God's speaking to you?" Well, when you get a positive thought, that's when you should know that He's speaking to you. You know, because he's starting to get into church and stuff like that. You know, and he's like, when do you know God's actually speaking to you? You know, and it's like the brother said, you're sitting on the couch and that mind comes to your head. Should I read the Bible? I think that's God speaking to you. Time to pick up that Bible. You know, I didn't tell him that, but I'm glad you said that, brother, because I can tell him that now. You know, but I just told him, I said, when you feel like you need to speak to him, that's when he's trying to tell you something. You know, he's not going to come out and formally speak to you. It's just the mind that he gives you, and the feeling, the goosebumps. He's trying to tell you something. Hey, I'm right here next to you. You know, I want you to do this for me. I want you to praise me. I want you to worship me. And he's felt that. And I'm glad for him. And I tell him every day. Every time I see him, I said, "You still keeping it up?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." He goes, "This is a good feeling. This is a whole new me." He says.
yeah.
So
In 1 Corinthians 9:24, uh, he says that do you not know that those who run in a race all run? So again, like you said, that when we sign up, but one receives the prize. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. So and back to the beginning where we talked about running your race with them, to win. Running your race with the mindset that you are going to win that race. You're not going to quit. You're not going to give up. This is your life. This is your focus. And that verse is not saying that only one person is going to win, obviously, because you know. But there again, it's back to you as an individual. Um, you know, staying in the race and running it and doing what's set before you. So.
One of the comments says, like Brother Mike said, that during this time of pandemia, the church has been shaken from the comfort zone. So, what is it that the church must do in order to help the hermanos to continue running this race in a new way?
I think for me, it's back again to focusing on the things that I need to be doing differently, and I think that he mentioned that God's been working quite a bit with him, and I know that he's been working a lot with me on the things that I need to look at and do differently. I need to um, you know I need to get busy. Like we can't be sitting around anymore. We
No,
need
not
to get
anymore.
busy. We need to get working. And I know that we're limited, and a lot of times we were very limited on how we could contact people, or you know maintaining the social distancing and everything. But that's still not an excuse. Like there's just so much work, and God gives you everybody a different gift. And I think that you have to use it right now, especially. You have to get busy. Whatever it is that He put in front of you, you got to get busy. We
You
can't
can't
sit around
bury it.
anymore.
Yeah.
No, we can't sit around. Right now, we got to,
Um,
and we were talking about that too, about how it's not, you know, we've been hearing for you since we were little how God is
God is coming.
coming, God is coming. He's coming soon, but nobody can deny all the movement that is happening. That God is, you know, and if you choose to ignore it, um, I'd be crazy to choose to ignore it because there are clear signs and indicators that He's trying to talk to us. He's getting our attention. There's a lot of things going on in the world that we need to be paying attention and doing our part. And that's not to say that we're paying attention to those things of the world only in the manner of how does it apply to my Christian race? How does it apply to the purpose of God? What does He want me to do about these things? So.
I honestly think, brother, um, going back to that question, this is just me again. I honestly think that God has shaken the churches to break routine. You know, to to say, hey, you guys are stuck in this routine that I'm gonna shake you so hard that you ain't gonna know what to do. You're gonna feel like you lost me. You're gonna feel like you lost the church. But then when it's all said and done, I want you to come back with not just the routine, but let me lead you. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I really feel like, we were stuck in this routine, wake up, go to church, come back, blah blah blah, and it was just that same routine. And I'm not putting any churches down, but we go to church, we do this, we do that, we do this, and then we go home, you know.
Right.
And it was
Right.
just that same routine that we were stuck in, and now it just seems like he's shaking it up, and he wants us to come back even stronger and with a different mentality, and he wants us to lift our hands even higher to say, we missed you, and you've brought us back to where we began, and now we're here to worship you even stronger now, again to win this race as individuals.
Amen. Yeah, definitely a routine. I mean, we all took for granted everything about everything. I mean, as a musician, I took for granted playing the bass. It's like when we couldn't go, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, practicing at the house. It's not the same as rehearsing at the church with all the singers and the musicians, and
Hmm.
praying together before we play. And I was like, it definitely took that for granted. It was definitely a routine. And now that we're starting to come back, it's definitely a different mentality coming in. Uh, Definitely it's now when I'm playing, the songs hit different.
Hmm.
They speak so much different because now what it's like to not be able to do it.
Right.
Right.
And
It's funny because the first Sunday that our church got shut down, I I don't want to say I laughed about it, but I chuckled and said, well, what are we supposed to do now? You know what I mean? Because you're in that routine of getting up to church and going to church, and then it's just like, well, what do we do now? You know what I mean? We don't stop. We don't stop from worshiping Him. We don't stop for opening up the Bible. We don't stop to listen to the music, whether we play it at home or we listen to it, on our music.
the pastor commented, should the local church expand the local ministry to be an international ministry? He says, I mean, we can take advantage of this pandemic and become a cyber ministry and at the same time work in the local community. Yes. I mean,
Yes.
we're so
I would
stuck in
think
the
that.
we're so stuck in the routine of I was talking to my sister the other day, and she was saying we're so stuck in the routine of Hispanics only. I was like, why?
Right.
Just because we're apostolic and we're a Spanish speaking church? I was like, our church, most of them speak English. Like, why does it necessarily? Yeah, totally. Cyber internationally. Why just Brainton? Obviously,
And
here
like
in
you
the
could
community.
say,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously here in the community we need to
God
work.
is shaping us up, and I think that like he's saying like I'll show you what I can do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
God is going to show us.
He,
So what you're saying is large scale, like, and he's doing it. He's actually doing it in other churches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening.
it's pretty much like him saying, you preach, you preach, you preach, you preach, but let's go global. You know what I mean? Let's take it out. Let's take it. Let's think out of the box. Let's get out of the church and let's take the word out there. You know, and that I mean, this is like again, like I said earlier, this is awesome that what you guys are doing. You guys are getting the word out there. If it wouldn't been for you guys or other people that other churches have done this on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you know, because we look at YouTube sometimes and we look at other churches, and it's just like, man, it's not stopping them. They're going global. So going back to the brothers' questions, yeah, heck yeah. I mean, that'd be awesome, just to be out there, Let's get the apostolic name out there, or they got to know who we are, not just the Hispanics, the bilinguals. They need to know that we worship God just like everybody else.
Being Christian is not specifically Hispanic,
Right.
Especially in our assembly, because that's what we are. We're prominent English or Spanish speaking people, but there's so much more. And
I mean, even in the Bible says God is not looking for a specific race. He's looking for worshipers that will worship Him in spirit and truth. He's not saying specific people. He's saying all of us, everyone.
Right.
yeah,
We are.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, every race, we're all brothers in Christ. We all bleed red. Think of it that way. We all have the same color blood. So you got to look at it that way. If I can reach that color race, I can reach that color race as well. I might not be able to speak that language, but they'll know that I'm actually teaching God's word. And you got to look at it that way. And doing it globally, man, just think of it. That's you're actually putting God's word out there. And maybe that's the reason why He done this, because He's showing us what we can do even bigger than just our local church. We can get it out there, and
there's definitely other churches that went globally, and Jesus did say, we're going to be doing greater things than He went to, basically a little circle, but He stayed in the same region, versus internet. Other churches have been, everyone sees.
Yeah, from Switzerland, from like different countries. I see on Facebook, like Facebook Live, preaching from Honduras. I see them there too, and I'm like, why can't we?
Doing that before? Were we doing that? We weren't so much doing that.
A lot of people weren't, somewhere, but a lot of people weren't. And definitely,
we were stuck in that routine.
Yeah, definitely time to evolve as definitely time to evolve as the church, not the temple. Although the temple can switch things up too, but it's definitely time to evolve as a church. And
running.
Yeah.
Like the brother said earlier,
Stop walking, stop
run.
running.
Like the brother said earlier, run this race as a church together. I like the way the brother Viapando put that.
Definitely. I think he says, "What is blocking the church to go ahead?"
Burdens out. Need to start letting go of those things.
I think change is scary, so a lot of people are accustomed to just I'll hold off a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and people I think the local churches who aren't progressing, it's because they're scared of change. They're so used to a certain way, but like you said earlier, God shook everything. Like it's no longer the same.
I mean, we've been asking for change, and now that we got change, we're like, oh my god,
not this kind of change.
Oh my god.
Yeah. and not just churches that He shook. I mean, He shook from churches to to your job and stuff like that. He put everything on the line.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
we have to take advantage of this marathon.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So, going back a while back, actually, toward the beginning, about the people leaving for like chismes and all that and misunderstanding. I wanted to say it, but I forgot, and then we moved on. But one thing for me that's helped me, um, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been the person to start chismes or talk bad about somebody. So I was like, I have nothing to say. I'm like, I can't judge anybody. But one thing that's helped me, when I've heard somebody talk bad about me, or someone like is rude to me, or like if I've misunderstood something, one thing that helped me was they're going through something too. It's like I can't be mad at them. I was like, I was once them, or I probably still am them, but in a different way. They can be going through something else, and I mean, why leave instead of like speaking to them, or helping them, or like, you know, just being the salt, being the light, you know. And I think that's important to realize that not everyone in the church is running a straight race, I guess you can say.
Or running at the same pace as you.
Running at the same pace as you. You know, there's like I said, the church, the temple. I need to stop saying the church, because and now in this everything's changed. We are the church. People in the temple are running at a different pace. People in the temple are, like I said earlier, the temple is a hospital for people. You know, we're there to get better with God. You know, we're there to heal. We're there to get healed. And not everyone is healed yet.
Yeah.
And
I think that one of the things that you were saying too is that, and I don't want it to sound like we're, you know, talking about you may have left, or, you know, because I think that it's really easy, again, back to what Paul said, I don't want to be disqualified, but it's really easy for any single person. And we don't want to be the cause of that. We're not perfect. And that's why we have to not put our eyes on people, because if, you know, we do, then I'm going to let people down. I know I am. You know, I will do things that probably maybe will offend somebody, not meaning to. So you have to be careful when looking at other people, because those types of things, then not get offended, so that it distracts you from what you're doing. You know, and
yeah, I mean, we definitely shouldn't be focused on other people. Like, finish your own race. Like, but at the same time, when
you have the opportunity,
when you have the opportunity, and the Holy Ghost tells you something, it's like, look to your neighbor, you should probably help him out. Something's going on.
Yeah.
You know, God gives you the discernment to let people. God gives you the discernment to see people, how they are, who they are, and I'm talking spiritually.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for the most part, I mean, I would just say stick to your own race, but when God gives you the discernment, you need to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she mentioned something about, you know, looking at your own race and how everybody runs at a different pace. And I know that that's one of the things that I struggled with. I probably my large part of my my race with God is looking at you know, comparing with others, and not, you know, I had that mindset of like, well, I'm not as holy as that person, or do things as I you know, I don't follow that same, you know, those types of you know, just kind of comparing. I'll never be, you know, good enough, I think, is what I kind of always, you know, thought. And so I think that that's something that, you know, it takes a long time to kind of just look at, you know, understanding that you're in your own race and you're at your own pace. Exactly. And stop comparing and start focusing on God, because He will get you where He wants you to be if you just focus on that.
Definitely. I like that you're being transparent, because I know exactly what you're talking about. And so a lot of people don't speak about that kind of stuff, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
So
That's one thing that we have to, you know, remember, that we're not any better than the next person. You know, this is our race, and like you said earlier, brother, you know, they might be going through something that you don't know. You know, they might be going through something harder than what you yourself is going through. So we can't say, I'm better than that person, or I'm better, I'm holier than that person. You can't do that. You can't look at that person like that. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is who I am. This is my race. I have to win this race for me and for God.
Hmm.
And I just want to, we're pretty much closing. I
Is
just
there any other comments that we haven't addressed or any other areas?
No, Nelson says new things can be scary, but new things are not always bad.
That's true.
right.
Mhm.
There was a time before all this started. I thought, you know, it's like she said earlier. We've been hearing since we were young that God's coming, God's coming. Get prepared. And the one thing that came to my mind is, man, God's really coming. I mean, He's closing the churches, and He's making change, and He's not letting us allow to go to the churches to worship Him. That was just the one thing that came to my mind. And we gotta be prepared. We gotta be prepared to win this race, regardless if we have a church or not. We don't stop worshiping Him. And yes, it's scary. And it was scary. But now that we see that everything is going to the new normal,
The new normal.
and we're able to go to His house and worship Him again. As a church, as individuals, it's we're more at ease.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Like
Seen firsthand that God doesn't leave us.
right,
He's with us. He's
yeah.
been through it all with us. He's
Like
not
this
going
time
anywhere.
it's time for us to like basically meditate on things that we need to work on, because God, like you said, Hermana, like He's been there, He's been the same. It's us that needs to change. Us, we need
right,
to see like what are we doing wrong and how can we fix our race, how can we fix getting close to God, getting that connection with God that we needed. Like comparing ourselves to somebody else is not helping us, it's not edifying us, it's our own race, like you said. And helping others out, that's the way to go, not by comparing but helping them out. If you see them down, like, hey, I'm gonna help you up too, because I know I've been there as well. It's we got to focus on us, and we got to focus on God, and we also got to focus on helping others out. That's the way to go.
yeah,
Yep. So, all right, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining, for accepting the uh, the call again, and
anytime, anytime.
I'm very very happy that you accepted. And I know, Mike, I know you've been working nights, so thank you for taking the time to you know to actually come on.
Yeah,
And
I appreciate the invite. We're here when you all need us. We're here to serve. Whether it's doing this or anything. You know what I mean? And
amen.
that's one thing that we put out there. We're here to serve in whatever God puts us to do, and we want to give you guys thanks for the invite. I'm glad you guys are doing good, and I'm glad that your church is doing good, and give a shout out to your pastor. And tell him that we said hi, and that we give him thanks for the things that he does that he's doing in his church. So I want to give you guys much thanks.
Thank you guys, and we love you. We miss you so much. I can't wait to see you guys again pretty soon.
Yeah, we didn't get to hang out on our birthday.
Right? I
Oh,
know.
yeah, we have the same birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, thank you
one
guys, and we love you. And I'm
want
sorry.
want to close with the prayer,
Okay.
and if you would do this, the honors.
Yeah. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you right now, Lord, to give you thanks for letting us unite as a church right now, Lord. Uh, we just give you thanks for this lesson, and hopefully that you spoke through us, Lord, knowing that you did, and that this message just would reach out to somebody that needs it right now, and not just to somebody that needs it, but for us as well, Lord. And we want to give you thanks for the things that the brother and sister are doing, globally. Let's let it go global, like the like you wanted to, Lord, because this is the example that you're putting for us, Lord. So we want to give you thanks for this word tonight, and give you thanks for the time that we spent with them, and we want to give you thanks for giving us the opportunity to teach your word, God. So we just want to give you thanks, and we love you, God, and let us win this race, Lord, because we know that you're right along with us, Lord, and that you're not going to let us advance, and you're not going to let us fall. And if you do let us fall, we know that you're going to get us right back up, get us back on course. So we give you thanks, Lord, right now, and we praise you, and in Jesus' name we give you thanks, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Guys, again, I want to thank you, and
Yeah,
God bless you, and may God keep you safe.
y'all
And
too.
we will be speaking again.
All right.
Uh, Everyone else, thank you for joining in. We we love you guys. We can't wait to see you guys in person if we haven't seen you. And God bless you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and
Continue your race.
continue your race. Praise Him.
Amen.
Amen.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
God bless
Love
you.
you.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye, guys.